Hi everyone, welcome to the presentation of Paper ID 1621 at the 20th Annual International Technology, Education and Development Conference. Transduction and Participatory Learning in the Age of Generative Artificial Intelligence.
You know that specific nagging frustration you get when you watch a movie that's based on a book you absolutely love?
Oh, yeah.
You walk out, the credits are rolling, and you turn to your friend and you just say it was okay, but the book was so much better.
It's the universal critique. It's almost a reflex, isn't it?
It is. And, we usually blame it on the surface stuff, like, oh, the actor didn't look right, or they cut my favorite part.
Right.
But what if that feeling, that friction between reading the words and seeing the images, what if it isn't just about entertainment?
What if that disconnect is actually the key?
The key to how we learn.
That is exactly where we're going today. We're not just talking about disappointing movie adaptations. We're talking about the fundamental architecture of how we think.
So today we are taking a deep dive into a really fascinating new paper from 2026 by Christina Pian. The title is a bit of a mouthful. It's called Transduction and Participatory Learning in the Age of Generative Artificial Intelligence.
It's a heavy title, but the question inside that paper is, it's huge. It basically asks, in a world where AI can instantly turn a report into a video or a book into a summary,
yeah,
what happens to our brains?
That's the conflict, right?
Right.
Do we become these super learners with amazing tools, or do we become cognitively lazy?
Obsolete even. And to answer that, we have to look at this concept called transduction. And funny enough, to really get it, we're going to break down that 2025 blockbuster film everyone was talking about.
A House of Dynamite.
A House of Dynamite.
Which is just an absolute masterclass in tension if you haven't seen it. But okay, before we get to the missiles in the crisis rooms, let's set the stage with the science.
Right.
This word transduction, it sounds like something from an electrical engineering manual.
It does. And, technically it is. In physics, it's about converting energy from one form to another, like a microphone turning sound waves into electrical signals.
Okay.
But in this context, and this comes from the theorist Gunther Kress, it means meaning from one semiotic mode to another.
Okay, semiotic mode. Let's break that down for everyone listening.
Think of a mode as just a way of communicating, a channel for information. So text is a mode.
Right.
An image is a mode. Speech, music, 3D models. They're all modes. And transduction is just the act of dragging an idea out of one mode and rebuilding it in another.
So to make that concrete, let's say I'm a student. I read a chapter about the French Revolution. That's text mode.
Exactly.
Then my teacher asks me to draw a storyboard of the storming of the Bastille.
You're performing transduction.
Yeah.
You are translating.
Yeah.
And here's the crucial part from Pian's paper.
Okay.
The real learning doesn't happen when you read the text. And it doesn't happen when you're looking at your finished drawing. The learning happens in the switch.
Because you can't just copy paste.
You can't.
Text doesn't have camera angles.
Yeah.
Or lighting. If I have to draw it, I have to invent those things from my understanding.
Yes. You have to make what the paper calls epistemic decisions. You have to ask yourself, what does the anger of the crowd look like? Is it chaotic? Is it raining? Is it sunny?
That struggle, that mental friction.
That is generative learning. You're literally building new connections in your brain.
So different media actually force us to think in different ways. The paper talks about these distinct epistemic forms.
Right, and this is fascinating. If you look at print, just words on a page, its epistemic form is sequential logic, one word after another.
A leads to B leads to C.
Exactly. It wires your brain for causality. Very linear.
Which is how we've taught school for hundreds of years, right? Read the chapter, answer the questions.
But then you get film. Film's not about linear logic. Its form is temporal montage. It's immersion. You learn by feeling, by seeing relationships in time and space.
And then the big one for today, interactive media, games, simulations.
That's procedurality. You learn by understanding systems. You poke the machine, it pokes back. If I do X, then Y happens.
You're not following a line, you're figuring out the rules.
Right. So historically, we did all this transduction work ourselves. Manually.
Yeah.
But now
we have the machine.
And this is the central conflict. We have generative AI, which is the ultimate transduction machine. You feed it a PDF, it spits out a slide deck. You feed it a script, it generates a video.
The paper calls it mechanical transduction.
And the danger is obvious, but it's seductive. If the machine does the translating, who's doing the learning?
Wow. It's like using a calculator for meaning. If I don't have to struggle to visualize the French Revolution because an AI can do it for me in 3 seconds, have I actually learned anything?
The paper argues we risk cognitive passivity. We just become consumers of the output. We get the cool product, but we miss out on the intelligence that comes from the process of making it.
That is a terrifying thought. Like, we're letting the AI go to the gym for us and expecting to get the muscles?
That is a perfect analogy.
Oh.
But before we get too dystopian, because I know we tend to go there.
We do.
Pian says there is a way out. But it means we have to completely change how we think about stories.
And this is where we bring in the theorist Janet Murray.
Yes, a legend. She wrote Hamlet on the holodeck way back in the 90s, and she saw this coming. She argued digital media moves us from being spectators to participants.
Right, and she has this concept of the replay multiform story.
This is so key to the future of learning. A traditional story is a train ride. Beginning, middle, end. One track.
A multiform story is more like a maze,
Yep.
a web of possibilities.
Think Groundhog Day. Or any video game where you die, you respawn, and you try something different.
Right.
But Murray says replay isn't just repetition. It's not just practice. It's an epistemic process. It's a way of knowing. When you replay a level in a game, you're not just trying to win. You're debugging the story.
Debugging the story. I love that phrasing. You're testing it along. Can I jump over this note? What if I go under? What if I talk to this person instead of fighting them?
Exactly. You stop looking at the plot, what happens next, and you start looking at the architecture.
Yeah.
How does this world actually work?
So deep learning, then, isn't about memorizing a line of facts. It's about navigating possibilities, understanding the what-ifs.
Correct. Agency gets distributed. It's not just the author telling you what happens. It's you playing with the rules they created.
Okay, so we have the theory. Transduction needs mental effort. Digital stories are about exploring systems. Now let's apply this to the case study in the paper, because it's such a cool analysis of a house of dynamite.
It's the perfect example because on the surface, it's just a movie. You sit and watch. You don't have a controller. But Pian argues it functions like a simulation. It makes your brain act like a gamer.
For anyone who missed it, and I don't know how, it was huge last year. Let's just recap the premise. It's terrifyingly simple.
A missile is launched from a submarine in the Pacific, heading for the U.S. We don't know who fired it. We don't know if it's nuclear.
And the whole movie takes place in just 18 minutes. Real time. But, and this is the hook, we see those same 18 minutes 3 separate times.
The screenwriter, Noah Oppenheim, broke it into 3 distinct segments, each with its own title. It's not a flashback. It's like a parallel run.
Yeah, I have the titles here. The first is Inclination is Flattening. The second, Hitting a Bullet with a Bullet. And the third, A House Filled with Dynamite.
Which is a quote from the film about nuclear peace. Now, each of those segments is a different vantage point in the crisis.
Let's walk through them. First, Military Command in Alaska. The people staring at the radar.
Their way of knowing their epistemic form is raw data. The blip on the screen. Is it a glitch? Is it a bird? The tension is purely technical. Cold, blue light, and servers.
Then the movie rewinds. We're in segment 2, Intelligence Analysis at Strategic Command.
And the question changes. It's not, is it there? We know it is. The question becomes, who sent it? They're looking at satellite feeds, chatter, trying to find a pattern in the noise. It's a different kind of thinking.
Deductive, frantic.
And finally, segment 3, the White House.
Executive deliberation. The president and the advisors. They're not looking at radar screens. They're looking at each other.
Their mode is political, ethical. If we shoot back, do we end the world? What will history say? It's quiet and heavy.
What's so incredible is how the director, Catherine Bigelow, creates a whole visual language for each one. She's the master of that experiential realism.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Zero Dark 30, The Hurt Locker, she puts you in the room.
Oh.
But here, she does something so specific, she actually reuses the exact same camera movements in different segments.
Wait, explain that. How does that work on screen?
So imagine a camera panning across a room at exactly 10:04 a.m. In the military segment, the focus is pulled way to the background on a massive screen flashing red. That's all that matters.
Okay.
In the intelligence segment, same camera move, same time. But the focus is now racked sharp to the foreground on an analyst's frantic face as they're on the phone.
Wow. That's brilliant. It's visually proving that perspective literally alters reality.
Exactly. The data is the same, but where you focus changes the meaning. She treats time like a database you can query, not a straight line.
And we have to talk about the editing. Kirk Baxter, who did The Social Network, he uses this technique the paper calls temporal hinge cuts.
This is what makes it feel multiform. The transition from one segment to the next happens at the exact same second of diegetic time.
Story time.
Yes, story time. So at 10:09 a.m., a general in Alaska slams his fist on the table. Smash cut to 10:09 a.m. in the White House, where the president flinches at a sound.
It creates this intense feeling of simultaneity,
Yeah.
that everything is connected.
It builds a network. You're just watching, but your brain starts connecting the nodes. You start thinking, oh, because the radar guy hesitated for 5 seconds in segment 1, the data got to the White House that much later in segment 3.
You start seeing the if-then logic. You stop watching a movie and start analyzing a system.
Precisely. You are mentally playing the movie. You simulate the contingencies. What if he'd called sooner? What if that analyst was wrong?
And that gets us to the most controversial part of the film, the ending, or the lack of one.
By withholding the resolution, Oppenheim and Bigelow force you, the viewer, to complete the simulation.
You have to sit there in the dark and calculate the outcome based on everything you just saw.
That is the ultimate transductive moment.
Yeah.
The film transfers the burden of meaning-making to you. You're not a spectator anymore. You're the final processor. You have to synthesize all 3 vantage points to decide how it ended.
So the movie is a workout for the brain. It forces us to do exactly what we were talking about, generate meaning from a system.
And that brings us right back around. Why does this matter for AI? Why connect a missile movie to ChatGPT?
Right, because most of us aren't making movies. We're students or writers or analysts using these tools every day.
Pian argues that a house of dynamite is a kind of bridge. It teaches us the new literacy we need. It shows us we need to think in systems, not just in linear answers.
So what's the solution? How do we use AI without turning our brains off? The paper suggests AI-augmented transduction.
And the core idea is simple. Don't let the AI do the thinking. Let the AI do the variation.
Unpack that for me. What does that look like in practice?
Okay, so the old way, the mechanical way, is you tell the AI, write me an essay about the missile crisis.
Right.
And you get a generic essay.
Yeah.
You learn nothing, 0 cognitive effort. The augmented way is you say, AI, here are the facts. Now generate 3 different scenarios. One where the radar fails, one where the president hesitates, and one where the intel is wrong.
Ah, I see. So you're using the AI to create a multiform story for you to analyze.
Exactly. And then you, the human, have to look at those 3 versions and evaluate them, critique them, decide which is most plausible.
So the AI builds the different possible maps, but I still have to be the navigator.
Exactly right. The AI expands the possibilities, but you do the epistemic effort of interpreting them. You are the evaluator.
That feels much more active. It actually sounds harder in a way than just writing the essay myself.
It might be. And that's the point. The paper says we have a moral imperative for epistemic effort, not to be a good person, but because it's the only way to maintain human intelligence. We have to preserve the struggle.
It's the gym analogy again. If the AI lifts the weights for you, you don't get strong. You have to lift the meaning.
And fluency in the future isn't about being a great writer or a coder or mastering one medium. It's about meta-awareness. It's understanding the architecture of knowledge itself.
Knowing that text does this to your brain, video does that, and code does something else entirely.
And knowing when to switch between them. That's the real skill. The ability to move fluidly between these modes and understand how the meaning shifts every time you do.
This completely changes how I think about my own prompts. I shouldn't be asking for answers. I should be asking for options, for complexity.
Treat the AI like a collaborator, a sparring partner. What if we did this? Show me the counterargument. But you're always the showrunner. You make the final cut.
Be the Kirk Baxter of your own learning.
That's it. You decide where the cut happens.
You know, there's a line near the end of the paper that really stuck with me. We're so used to suspense in stories being about plot. You know, will the hero survive?
Right. Will the bomb go off?
But in this new era, that's changing. The paper says suspense is no longer about what will happen, but about what can be known.
It's a profound shift, isn't it? We're moving from a world of linear certainty to a world of probabilistic thinking. We're moving into a simulation mindset. And honestly, that's a much more exciting place to be as long as we're willing to do the work.
It puts the responsibility right back on us. We have the most powerful tools in history, but we have to be the ones driving.
Or piloting the submarine, in this case.
Hopefully with slightly better intel.
Let's hope so.
This has been a heavy one, but I think a really necessary one. To our listener, next time you open up that AI tool, don't just ask it to do your homework. Ask it to challenge you. Make it generate a multiform story and see if you can debug it.
Keep that epistemic sweat going. Don't let the machine have all the fun.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.